I'll now request Josiah Ateka from Agriculture University of Kenya to present on impact of women's empowerment policies on nutritional outcomes.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to listen to my presentation on the impact of women empowerment on nutritional outcomes in Kenya. In this study, we derive the motivation from the answer to the question of where is the home of malnutrition, and we recognize the fact that there is evidence showing that some progress has been made across different countries, but the levels of undernourishment and malnutrition remain unacceptably high in sub-Saharan Africa, and Kenya is one of the countries in this bracket. We further recognize the fact that in Kenya, a number of efforts have been made in terms of formulating and implementing policies, both agricultural and nutritional policies, to try and address the challenges of malnutrition. However, the impact has been less than sufficient, and the problem has so far persisted. The other recognition the study makes is that women empowerment is recognized to have a significant role in towards nutrition. However, the specific pathways through which this can happen still remains unclear, and this is the sort of contribution that this study is making. In Kenya, the study further recognizes that a number of policies have been implemented since the year 2000. I have enumerated some of them in the slide. And one of the key observations is collectively these policies have sought to sort of improve a number of key empowerment indicators, including access to opportunities, agency, maybe the self-worth and esteem for women, including the reduction of violence against women. This study therefore sought to address three key questions. One is whether there were changes in women empowerment over the year from 2003 to 2014. We also were interested to understand whether there have been improvement in child nutrition over the same period, and finally wanted to address the question of what dimensions of women empowerment have impact on nutrition. We are using a pooled data set of 3 waves of the DHS cross-sectional data sets, that is 2003, 2008, /9, and 2014. To respond to those questions, the study used a number of women empowerment domains or indicators, some around agency in terms of those that enhance the women's decision-making power, some around access and control over resources, others around self-worth, achievement in terms of opportunities and education and social relations. And on the nutritional outcomes, we focus more on dietary diversity scores and anthropometric measures. To link empowerment with nutritional outcomes, we used 2 sets of econometric models. One is a standard Poisson sort of regression, but in situations where we found evidence of endogeneity, we also used 2 SRI Poisson regression, and for purposes of impact assessment, we used difference in difference estimator. The results, I have organized them following the questions that are presented earlier, and one of the observations on whether there were changes in empowerment, we note, yes, that over the reference period, there were, yes, some improvements in women empowerment across the different indicators that we considered, but except for what I would say is the improvement around attitudes on wife beating and improvement in women involvement in household decision on large purchases, the rest of the changes were fairly small. On changes in nutrition over the review period, we note that there were some improvements, reduction in levels of stunting, but very marginal. Same case for wasting, but fairly what you might say is relatively more improvement in the reduction of the proportion of children who were underweight. We tried to sort of see what comparatively in terms of these indicators between male-headed and female-headed households, and the results show consistently that across all the three indicators, that male-headed households are the better nutritional outcomes, and the differences that we are showing in the charts are statistically significant. We extended this sort of this comparative analysis to the household dietary diversity, and the results show that again, male-headed households had better dietary diversity scores, and when we compared the differences between urban households and the rural households, again, urban households had much more better dietary diversity scores than their rural counterparts. The same case is shown when we tried to compare this based on the consumption of specific foods, and in this particular slide we are showing the case for vitamins A, where you see the urban households having, again, better scores, and male-headed households, again, consistently a similar result. In terms of the regression results, we notice that a number of women empowerment indicators have positive effect on dietary diversity, and among these, the having control over decisions on how to spend the money's income or the partner's income, access to various sources of information, reduction in the time burden for women, particularly with regard to sourcing for water, access to resources including land and health insurance, as well as progression in education, attitudes around wife beating, and efforts against FGM all have important positive effect on dietary diversity. On the impact assessment, the results based on the DID estimator show that progression efforts or policies that support progression in education, as well as those that target reduction in FGM, have a positive impact on child nutrition. Overall, the results of this study show, one, that yes, there have been some positive improvement on nutrition, but the progress towards target is still too slow. We note from the descriptive analysis that there are significant differences and consistently between male-headed and female-headed households, again suggesting the important role of intra-household decision behavior. The consistent differences between urban and rural households perhaps also suggest that maybe we need policies, different policies for urban households and different policies for maybe the rural households, or need to consider those heterogeneities in policy formulation. And finally, we observe or conclude that policies that support progression in education, access to employment opportunities, and self-worth for women have an impact on nutrition. Wish to acknowledge those institutions for supporting this study. Thank you.